Caritamrita. Where do we all come from? Is this all one group?
Yeah, we came from Brisbane.
From Brisbane? Nice. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for having us.
No, well, thank you for coming. So you visit the temple in Brisbane? ISKCON temple? One whole Bhakti Vriksha group. Wonderful. Wonderful. How often do you guys meet, the Bhakti Vriksha? Weekly once. Very nice. Yeah? In the temple as well. Okay. How long does the program go for, the Bhakti Vriksha program?
We start 6:30.
6:30? Yep. Yep. Okay. Very nice. Yep. Yep. Yeah, very nice. Wow, fantastic. Very nice. Okay, thank you. First time you've been here? What do you think of the deities, Radha Govardhana, Krishna? Beautiful? What do you think, bro? Beautiful? Come again and again. They bring you back. You can't help it. Once you come once, and then that's it. Finished. Material life, finished. Krishna consciousness only. That you won't be satisfied with anything. I think Yamunachari, he wrote that verse. He said, if you want to be very happy and fired up about the job and everything and getting some position and making your mark in the world, he said, don't go down to Yamuna Keshigat and see that naughty boy standing there, threefold bending pose, with the flute, playing the flute. Don't listen to the flute. Whatever you do, don't listen to the flute. Otherwise, all your hopes for material domination finished. You'll only want Krishna's lotus feet after that. So that's, of course, a great benediction. Actually, Lord Chaitanya was spoken like that. Everybody knows Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You're familiar. One time he was given a blessing. Actually, he was given supposedly a curse. One person said to him, I curse you that you'll never have any material happiness. And Lord Chaitanya, I think he was Nimai Panda. I think this was before sannyasa. I'm not exactly sure when it was. But he heard that and he heard that. He started jumping, Haribol, Haribol, Haribol. This is a great benediction, that I won't be absorbed in all this material plans and so forth. Of course we have to, we have our duties and so forth we have to do, but within. All right, so let's get into Caitanya Caritamrita, chapter 17, text, what is it, 30? 90? 90? 1790, okay. Yeah, 1991. Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Ekadina Prabhu Srivasera Agyadila. Brihat Sahasranama Pada Shunite Manahaila. Ekadina Prabhu Srivasera Agyadila. Brihat Sahasranama Pada Shunite Manahaila. Do we have any Bengalis here today? No Bengali? No Bangla? Bangla Jani, no? Yes, one? Very, okay. Do you want to chant for us? Let's hear it in the Bengali. Ekadina Prabhu Srivasera Agyadila. Brihat Sahasranama Pada. You probably do better if you had the Bengali script, right? Yeah? I should have given you that. Next one. Okay. Anyone else like to chant? Please. Ekadina Srivasera Agyadila. Brihat Sahasranama Pada Shunite Manahaila. Anyone else like to chant? Anybody? Don't have to be Bengali. We're not. Ekadina Prabhu Srivasera Agyadila. Brihat Sahasranama Pada Shunite Manahaila. Okay, word for word. Ekadina. One day. Prabhu. The Lord. Srivasere. Unto Srivas Thakur, Agya, order, Dila, gave, Brihat, great, Sahasranama, 1,000 names, Pada, read, Shunite, to hear, Mana, mind, Haila, wanted. Translation and purport. By His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. One day the Lord ordered Srivas Thakur to read the Brihat Sahasranama, the 1,000 names of Lord Vishnu, for he wanted to hear them at that time. Please repeat. One day the Lord ordered Srivas Thakur to read the Brihat Sahasranama, the 1,000 names of Lord Vishnu, for he wanted to hear them at that time. So there's no purport. We'll read text 91. Pardite aila stave nishingheranam. Okay. Shuniya avishta haila prabhu goradham. Beautiful verse, huh? Shuniya avishta haila prabhu goradham. Shunya means hearing, of course. Avishta, absorbed in. Haila became Prabhu, the Lord Goradham, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Translation. As he read the 1,000 names of the Lord, in due course the holy name of Lord Nrsimha appeared. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard the holy name of Lord Nrsimha, he became fully absorbed in thought. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Chaitanya Mangala Madhya Kanda describes this incident as follows. Srivas Pandit was performing the Shraddha ceremony of his father, and as is customary, he was hearing the 1,000 names of Lord Vishnu. At that time, Gaura Hari, Lord Chaitanya, appeared on the scene, and he also began to hear the 1,000 names of Vishnu with full satisfaction. When he thus heard the holy name of Lord Nrsimha, Lord Chaitanya became absorbed in thought, and he became angry like Nrsimha Prabhu, in his angry mood. His eyes became red, his hair stood on end, all the parts of his body trembled, and he made a thundering sound. All of a sudden he took up a club, and people became greatly afraid, thinking, "We do not know what kind of offense we have now committed." But then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu adjusted his thoughts and sat down on his seat. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshtatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So there are many conceptions of the absolute truth in the world. But in general, the general tendency of conditioned souls, when they think of something that's absolute and supreme, the general tendency is to think of something that is not of a personal nature. So just like our material minds are very much absorbed in our material duties, we have so many deadlines to keep, we have so many relationships and people to try to keep happy. We have our bosses, or we have our customers and business, and we have our family members. And there's so many people in this world, and we have to be sensitive to how they feel. If we have a work in a job, we have to understand how the boss likes things, how they don't like things, the owner of the business. Or if we have a business, we have to understand what our customers like, what they don't like. So many personal relationships, of course, within the family, the extended family. We have so many experiences, so many samskaras, impressions of all the different people in our lives. So it's very natural that once we come to consider or ponder on what is the absolute truth, or what is beyond this very life, and of course in Vedanta Sutra we know that this is actually given as the first stage in human life, right? Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Atato Brahma Jigyasa. So Atato now at this time, in other words, once you've come to the human form, then you should inquire what is beyond that. We can see the animals and the other creatures, they're not inquiring what is beyond this. What is beyond this immediate existence? But the human beings, we have so many relationships, so many personal relationships within this world that we naturally think, when we think of what's beyond all of this, we naturally think it must be something different to all this. Right? We have all these personal relationships, there's all these people in our lives. What's beyond all of that? Oh, that must be different. Spiritual must be the opposite of material. Right? So if material means so many relationships, spiritual must be, no relationships. And we naturally, when we think of something that's unlimited, we naturally think of something that's not a person. Like we think of the sky is unlimited, the ocean is unlimited, space is unlimited. So the general tendency of the conditioned soul, when they think of something that's beyond, is to think of something impersonal. We say impersonal, not a person. Something that's beyond all of this, that's not a person. And this is technically explained in the impersonal philosophies, mostly coming from India, the philosophy of Shankaracharya and different followers of the Vedanta school, that this is called the neti, right? Not this, not this. What is spiritual? Oh, it's not this. It's not personal relationships. It's not material attachment. It's not this, it's not this. But what is it? Oh, you can't understand. That's beyond. And even when we come to the great, apparently monotheic religions of the world, monotheic religions like Christianity, Judaism, Islam, even those monotheic traditions, when we look into the wisdom, when we look into the practices, in the ultimate issue, the main process is this similar process, neti. I was recently looking at a little YouTube clip. There was one ISKCON devotee in England, very intelligent devotee, and there was a couple of followers of Muhammad on the street with a table giving out some books, and he was talking. It was a very nice discussion. They were having a discussion back and forth. And at a certain point in the discussion, there came up this issue that how can you, from the followers of Muhammad, that how can you put a personal characteristic onto the Lord? You can't do that. That's an offense. All you can say that he's beyond everything. He's beyond. He's the most merciful, sure, but he's beyond everything. We can't say that he has desires, or we can't say that he has feelings or a personal existence. He doesn't have a face. All of these different things. So even the monotheic traditions of the world. Once, I've told this story many times, but once I was talking with my sister, and she was following the Catholic or Christian type of a faith at that time, and we were discussing back and forth, and she was saying in our Bible it says you can never look on the face of God, you can never perceive God directly, and it says that in the scriptures. And I said to her, well, but who wrote the scriptures? They're coming from God. So if God wrote the scripture, then he can also, he's not bound by that. So he can write in the scripture that generally you can't see him in this world, but you can, he can decide if he wants to come to this world. He's beyond the scripture. Just like, somebody might write, this is the rules of this house, you have to always do this and this and this. But then at a certain time, for some reason, he might do something else. You can't say, hey, you wrote this book. No, but there's another consideration. That if he, he's superior. So anyway, I said like that, and she replied to me that, what? You're not saying God is a person, are you? And I kind of was shocked at that. that here's this monotheistic tradition that's saying we're trying to develop love of God, but at the same time, if you get anywhere near the idea that God is a person or has personal characteristics, then they sort of say, well, what are you talking about that? And that's exactly the same concept that we're talking about, that we're so used to persons being limited, right? We're so used to persons being limited in this world. That's what all the relationships we're used to, that it's very difficult, it is impossible really, for a conditioned soul to understand a unlimited person. So just let you sit and digest that for a minute. What is your brain telling you when you do that? Put those two words together. An unlimited sky. Easy, right? Your mind goes, it's no problem. The unlimited space. Easy, isn't it? Or what about a limited person? It's easy, right? Your mind can get around it. But what about this one? An unlimited person. What happens in the brain? Short circuit. Yeah, but generally the brain doesn't think of that. It is we're used to thinking of persons as being limited. So anyway, we're hearing here from Caitanya Caritamrita that the Lord himself, so Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is accepted as the Lord Krishna himself, right? There's many verses in Bhagavatam, also in Mahabharata, Krishna Vanam Trisha Krishnam Sangapangastra Prashadam Jagai Sankirtane Prayer Yajanti Hiu Sumedasa, that this, in the Kali Yuga, Krishna himself was coming in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we can see the Lord here, the Supreme Consciousness, he's hearing the pastimes of Lord Nrsingadev, and then he's actually getting angry, right? What does it say here? At that time, Lord Chaitanya became absorbed in thought when he heard the holy name of Lord Nrsinga, and he became angry like Nrsinga. In his angry mood, his eyes became red, his hairs stood on end, and all the parts of his body trembled. Right? He's not putting on an act. He's actually becoming angry. Right? So Krishna, the Supreme Person, he has emotions, right? He has activities, he has feelings. He's feeling angry. Why is he feeling angry? Why does Lord Nrsinga feel angry? Yeah? Yeah, that is the predominant mood of Lord Nrsinga. But why is that mood? Why did he get angry? Yes, which devotee particularly? Yes, Prahlad Maharaj, right? Is being hurt. He's being harassed severely by his own father. So we can see the Lord actually got angry at that. He got so angry that he came and he incarnated and he killed Hiranyakashipu, right? So this idea, the Vedas are giving that the Lord is a person. He has feelings, right? And this is very, very unique in the world, actually. We just described all the major religions and everything. There's no other tradition aside from Sanatana Dharma where the tradition actually has the Supreme Lord standing and saying, I am the Supreme Lord. It's like in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo, right? The other traditions will say, they'll say, I am the Son of God, or they'll say, I am the prophet, things like that. But here, we see the pastimes of the Supreme Lord himself. He is coming here and he's experiencing that form of Lord Nrsingadev. He's experiencing that angry mood. So we can then think about, what does it say why can what is the use of anger, for example? We said we shouldn't get angry. So why is the Lord getting angry? Why is that anger different? Right? We talked about this some time ago. Why is it different? It's different because it's for a spiritual reason. It's to protect his devotee. So Krishna says, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya to duskritam. Right? He comes to protect the devotee, and vinashaya to duskritam. He comes to annihilate the non-devotees. He comes to change the consciousness of people. Now, Lord Chaitanya didn't come to kill people. This is not a killing religion. But he came Sangopanga Astra Parshadam. Right? His astras are his angas, his associates. So his associates are all, he's showing the example of this. He's showing the example, he's teaching through his devotees. We can see here that as soon as the people got afraid, then he sat down. He said, "Oh, I don't want to make people afraid." So did Lord Nrsingadev worry about that? He didn't worry about that, right? He didn't worry about people being afraid. Whoa. So that was in a different age. So in this age, Lord Chaitanya saves by giving his... he saves everybody by taking the demonic tendency out of the heart. That's how he saves people. That's how he's paritranaya saranam vinashaya cha duskritam. He kills the demonic mentality. He doesn't actually kill the person, right? So, like this, we can understand that Krishna consciousness is not an impersonal process. It's not a process of becoming less of a person, right? It's a process of becoming more of a person. All of these personal attributes are there. And therefore, we see a pure devotee, somebody who's advanced, they have the most personal relationships, So to think that our personal relationships are not working, then this is a good thing, or it's a symptom of advancement. It's in general, it's not a symptom of advancement. We see Srila Prabhupada was expert in dealing with every single kind of person. And he was able to deal with everybody in every situation. And we can see here the Lord himself is getting this mood of Lord Nrsinga. When he hears just the name of Lord Nrsingadev, he takes on this mood. So we're going to move to a separate part or different part of this class. Is there any questions or any realizations anybody would like to share about these points? Any insights that you want to share about this? Yep. Do you have a microphone there? Because the internet is streaming on the internet, so then the people will hear also. Otherwise, they'll just hear my imperfect answer and not your perfect question. Thank you.
One insight which I have is, today morning we did the rounds and we chanted Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just said the name of Narasimhadev once, and he got into the mood of Narasimhadev. And then I chanted probably 10 rounds, and I am nowhere close to anything. Obviously not comparing, but I am just saying that the difference is absolutely infinite.
Yes, definitely, yeah. There's a nice explanation in the life of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Do you know Bhaktivinoda Thakur? Yes. And he describes there in his autobiography that he was a long time he was trying to find a copy of Chaitanya Caritamrita, and he couldn't find it anywhere. And then finally he found it, and he was reading, and he said, the first time reading through Chaitanya Caritamrita, I thought, wow, Nima, and this is in the Bengali, so there were no purports or anything, he was just reading the Bengali. He said, the first time I read it through, I thought, wow, this Nima Pandit is the greatest philosopher and scholar. The second time I read it through, I realized that, wow, he's actually an incarnation of the Lord. And then he said the third time, he said, I started to get all these different bhavas, ecstasies appearing, and it was wonderful, the ecstasies of love of God. So in a similar way, we the great devotees, the great devotees like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they can, just simply by reading Chaitanya Caritamrita through, then automatically they're on that level. And we can see that we're very materially absorbed. We've been for many, many lifetimes absorbed in material things. So for us, we have to chant and chant and chant and hear. But we can see gradually progress is there, right? We can see. And definitely, like you said, chanting in the morning, like when we come, if we chant some rounds, 4 rounds, 8 rounds, 6, whatever, how many rounds we chant, we notice a subtle difference, right, in the rest of our day. When we chant very attentively and we just hear the holy name, right, we notice a difference. So it's very, very powerful. But yeah, it's a good point that the Lord Himself or great devotees, they're already on that platform, but we have to, we have to struggle. We don't have to struggle, but we have to try. We have to endeavor. We're actually reading, what was that yesterday, in a purport to Bhagavad Gita 10.9, the second of the seat slokas. That's quoted there, Bhaktivinoda Thakur saying that in the beginning, the connection or the taste, the feeling that devotee get is through service in the beginning. And then after some time of practice, then they actually become situated in the actual identity, the service of the actual Leela they become for some time. But we're, like you said, we're very far away from that, so we have to do the service. So the service is how we purify ourselves. Like we're doing the puja, like the pujari is doing puja, he is offering the different items to the Lord. We're hearing about the Lord, we're speaking about the Lord. Someone else is cooking in the kitchen. So the service is actually the conduit. It's the way that we connect to Krishna, to Krishna's mercy in our conditioned state through the service. So without doing devotional service, there's no connection. There's no connection. Bhaktivinoda Thakur makes that clear. There's no use imagining, I'm a peacock in the spiritual world or something like that. No, the service has to be there, right? And then by tons and tons and tons of service, then gradually awakens what is the type of service we would like to do in the spiritual world. Just the very vague idea. And then gradually that becomes more concrete. Within that type of service, I'm very attracted to this particular servant, this cowherd boy or this elderly, this associate of Mother Yashoda or whatever it is. So gradually, very gradually that happens. But a very good point that we see here, Lord Chaitanya, just hearing the name of Nrsinga, suddenly he's completely absorbed. And so this is spiritual dynamic relationship in the spiritual world. It's not covered by this. We're very covered, we're like in the thick soup. We're like walking through marshmallow in this material world. We have to keep chanting Krishna's name to try to wake us up, right? Was that amnesia? Amnesia. Yes, you are a servant of Krishna. Krishna, Hare Krishna. Oh yes, that's right. 5 minutes later, I want to control and enjoy that. Forgot. I'm a servant of Krishna. Hare Krishna. But little bit by little bit we start to wake up. Thank you, very nice. Very nice very nice realization. Something else? Anyone else like to share something from this? Yes, Mataji? Please. Yes, please do.
As Prabhu was saying, that's a very good realization, because for Lord Chaitanya, once he heard the name of Lord Nrsingadev and he come into that mood. So I just would like to add to that point that just if you take a cup of muddy water, if you have a half cup of muddy water, you don't need to make an extra endeavor to take that muddy water out. You start pouring the clean water, the dirty water keep coming out. So as that we keep chanting, the purification happens, and that's why the process of devotion is there, like Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivrutti. You come to the taste of Nishta, Bhava, Ruchi. You develop that taste for the holy name. And that's why this process is also like, there's two kinds of like one is Raga Nuga Sadhana Bhakti and then Vaidhi Sadhana. So whatever we are following now, this is Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. Vaidhi Sadhana is following the rules and regulations because we don't have that natural taste. So by following the process, whatever been given by the Acharyas, we're following the footsteps of the Acharyas, and then by following the Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, we come to the stage of Raga Nuga Sadhana. That's Raga Nuga Sadhana is a natural taste for the holy name. So we come to that stage. So that's why Prabhupada has recommended we do Anukaran. We follow the footsteps, but we don't imitate. Like Lord Chaitanya has imitated these ecstatic bhava symptoms, I should see the Lord and we don't imitate, we follow the footsteps. That's what I would like to add. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, very nice. Yes. Anything else, Edmanji? Yeah.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, in office or at the workplace, most of the times when I start, talking about the Lord, I hear a lot of, pushback saying, oh, Krishna is not the supreme, because I have been following Krishna consciousness for last 7-8 years, way back from India, ever since we traveled. But when I say, okay, Krishna is the supreme, and we do consider all the other gods as well, the demigods, but they say, oh, where is it written, and things like that. Maybe in their scriptures, their way of following might be different, but we consider the Krishna conscious to be the supreme. So people try to oppose for that, and so try to make such people understand is a bit of a, challenge is what I feel, but that's okay. It's all in the path of, I would say this is one thing that I've experienced here.
There's one saying that says, when you say it's hard to make people understand.
Yeah.
So there's one saying that says, a person convinced against their will is of the same opinion still. So if we're thinking that we're trying to make someone understand, then it's very difficult. It's very hard, because people have their own opinions and everything like that.
Yeah.
But of course, we can see in the life of Prabhupada that he would debate with people philosophically, and we can read in the Lilamrita that he would debate. So it's not wrong to debate, and actually Chaitanya Charitamrita says that we should debate to make our intelligence strong. We should discuss these things. But at the same time, when we're talking to people who are not, have already not decided to follow this path, then in general, if we can find, things that are common between the traditions, then that will be more, acceptable to them. Like if they're Christian, for example. So, you're worshipping God, you're saying that we should love God, we should treat everyone else as if they're our brothers and sisters because we're all sons of God. And we can speak in general terms like that really all of the issues in the world, especially politically, wars and so forth, and environment, all of these issues are due to people focusing on the differences rather than focusing on what's the same, right? And what's the same, there's so many, more things that are the same than what are different, right? We're all spirit souls, we're all people in the world, pure souls. We're trying to, live in this world and understand how to live in this world as well as elevate ourselves. So everyone is like that. Everyone, whether they're Christian, Mohammedan, Muslim or atheist or whatever, it doesn't matter. So if we see that really all the problems of the world are due to people focusing on that external, that level of, false ego and stuff, I'm, like, this is my covering, I come from this country, you come from that country, and this part of the world, that's mine, and I'm going to fight you to the death because it's my tribes, and the other tribes say, no, this is my tribes, I will fight you to the death for that. But if everyone sees, no, we all have a common father, is God, Krishna, or what, Jehovah, Allah, whatever you want to, doesn't matter what name you put, then he wants us all to live here. That all belongs to God. Whatever that holy place you're saying is yours, it actually belongs to God. And then there's no conflict. And with the environment, the same thing. That if people stop trying to exploit and say, I want to be the big head of this company that's making billions of dollars in profit and so forth, but actually we're all just spirit souls and we're all trying to progress. So if we present like that, and the trouble with saying that sort of ours is the best and this is the one, is that it can come across as being like in that category, Like we're seeing the difference between people. Not saying you are, I'm just
No,
expanding this point because it's a very good point,
Yeah.
you know, to think about.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
why most of the times I also reach out to Mataji, where
Yeah.
she's my guru. Like,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, so you can just
To
say,
seek
you know,
that clarification.
you can ask them what do you believe?
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
always good to ask questions
Yes. rather
rather than speak. So question. Oh, what do you believe?
Yeah.
Oh, you believe that there's God is all loving? Yeah, we believe that too.
Yeah.
You believe that there's soul? Oh, we believe that too. You know, whatever it is, then you engage them in some prasadam. Just like you
Yep.
were saying, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, we'll come to Gopa in a second. Just like Bhaktivinoda Thakur was saying that the service is the connection.
Yep.
So they have to do some service. So there's service, and actually it says that, well, there's a couple of verses. There's one verse in Bhagavad Gita that says, Nabudi Vedam Janayad Agyanam Karma Joshidam. Do not disturb the minds of ignorant people and try to disturb them in their activities. You'll just disturb their mind, but rather engage them in some acts of devotion. So you give them some prasadam, just say, oh yes, you also believe, you know, there's a Supreme Lord, or whatever their belief is, you know, oh, that's good too, we do too, and we actually cook, you know, like in your religion you have your cooking, we cook to offer to the Lord, and this is oh, what is that? Nice chocolate cake, wow. Here, try some. Then they're eating prasadam, right? And then they're not fighting, they're getting a good idea of you, oh yes, we have some commonality. And then they eat prasadam, they get purified more. So, and then once they get purified, say, oh, this is really good. What is this about offering? What is that thing? And then they start to inquire. You see? Tadvidi pranipatana pariprashnena sevaya. Krishna gives the formula for giving knowledge. And the first part is that the person has to inquire. Tadvidi pranipatana pariprashnena. So if the person is not inquiring from you, there's no knowledge is going to be given. According to Krishna, that's the process of giving knowledge. So you see one time, Prabhupada was so expert at this. There's one time you can watch a video. He was in a that airport. He was in the airport, and there's one reporter was quite, you know, derogatory almost, saying, you know, tell us about Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada said, you wouldn't understand. You wouldn't understand. No, come on, tell us. I don't think you really understand. You're not serious. You wouldn't really understand. No, please, I'm really serious. I really want to know. Please, can you tell me? See, Prabhupada created that. And Prabhupada said, okay, Krishna consciousness. And then, you see? So he created that. Interest them. That's what you have to create in them. If it's not there, then don't speak.
Yep.
What's the use of speaking?
Yep.
Just find what is the commonality, give some prasadam, somehow engage them in something, and then when they inquire, you can say a little bit and see how they take it, like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Hare Krishna.
So Gopa had a hand up before about prasadam. Okay.
Yeah, 1 second. I would like to just add something to your
Yes.
point. Very good point, Prabhu,
Yes.
you said.
Yes.
Because as Prabhu was saying, we don't tell anyone to change anything in their life, their routines or anything. We don't tell anyone to change. But only one thing we should do is add Krishna to their life by giving prasadam or by taking them to temple or doing the things. But instead of changing there something, if you ask someone, oh, you changed this, you doing that, no one likes it. But add Krishna to whatever they are doing, existing things. Slowly, as we put the clean water, dirty water coming out,
Yes.
as all the things, the changes will happen.
Yeah.
And like you see in Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, whole first chapter, Krishna didn't speak single word. Let Arjuna ask all his questions. And in the second chapter, when Arjuna says, I am a soul surrendered to you now. Please explain to me. Please tell me. I'm your disciple now. Then only Krishna
Yeah.
starts speaking.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so we should,
at that point.
as Prabhu was saying, we should let them inquire, but just adding Krishna to their life,
And-
not asking anything to
Yeah.
change.
And there's a couple more, we'll come to, I'll just quick comment on that. There's a couple of aspects to that, asking people to change. One is that people have a culture that they're taking shelter of already. Their culture is whatever. And just to try to get them to change their culture or to change what they're doing, it's very difficult. It's very resistant, firstly. And secondly, we're focusing then on the difference. Because the difference is the external, like we have earth, water, fire, ether, right? Mind, intelligence, false ego, and soul. Krishna gives it, right? There's the gross material body, the subtle mind, and then the soul. The gross body and the subtle mind, they're different among everyone, according to culture, according to whatever. But the soul is the same. That's what everyone has in common. That's the commonality. So we have to bring it to that level, which means soul, spirit. Take some prasadam. Try this mantra. You can say, Jesus, my Lord Jesus, please God, please. Or you can say, Hare Krishna. It means the same thing. You can try this one, same thing. Bring it to that soul level, and then there's commonality. Doesn't matter what type of body, what type of mind we have. So when we're trying to deal with the things that are different, the differences between us, we're actually highlighting the differences between people. You see that? On the bodily, on the mental level, on the body and the mind. But when we go to try to always take it to the spiritual. Given some prasadam, given little wisdom, given something, the knowledge that is same for everybody. Everybody's trying to live nicely, everybody has a family, everybody wants to develop love for the Supreme, and that, keep it on that level, then everybody can relate to it. And then gradually they'll inquire. So,
very good point.
A couple more.
Very good. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Just press. Try. Hare Krishna. Just press it one more time. Just press the button.
Yeah. Now it's clear.
Yeah.
What I find is, we are trying to there are people trying to compare Krishna with Allah or Jesus and all. But what they offer are not same. Krishna doesn't offer wealth, doesn't offer karma, doesn't offer 72 virgin, this and that. Whereas if you think of Allah, it is completely different. So should we compare Krishna with other religions' main god?
Yeah. Well, Srila Prabhupada did, that's for sure. Srila Prabhupada did, definitely. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur does in great detail. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was actually much more closely aligned to being a Christian than a Hindu until he became a Vaishnava. He really didn't like the Brahma Samaj or something it was called back in the 19th century in Bengal. He really didn't like that. He very much, you can read in his autobiography, he says, I much prefer the Christian idea of a loving God rather than this, like, there's an impersonal nothingness, that's the goal. So he certainly did. And Prabhupada even said things like, the Catholic Pope has made spiritual advancement because he's doing the work of God. Now, there's a lot of other things mixed in to other practices. You know, just like we see among our devotees, there's a lot of things we mix into it. We're conditioned souls. So we might mix in various materialistic things according to our culture. Eating food that's not offered, that we like, rather than just accepting whatever Krishna gives, and so on and so on. But we don't want to focus again on those differences. And in Islam, it's a practically religious principle to commit extreme violence upon animals, at religious functions and so forth. In Christianity, like Prabhupada said, the regular slaughterhouses are kept. So there's a lot of other things that are mixed in there. They're definitely not love of God. But in all of those traditions, you'll see, aside from Buddhism, because Buddha just didn't really talk about God, so the goal is just sort of nirvana beyond this. But there's love of God there in all of those other traditions. And if we're talking to people of those traditions, and that was the discussion was in the workplace when we're in the West and people are predominantly from a Christian tradition, or they're just sort of ambivalent, but still the baseline in the West is Christianity. Even if people are not Christian, their ideas of God are coming from Christianity. So even when you talk about, even if they're not good, that's the paradigm. So in that sense, but as you say correctly, we can definitely point out the differences. And many, this is what I say, that the paradigm of Christianity in the West, the idea of God, as very much believing, do you believe or not believe? You know, because that's a political statement. Because you go back 1,000 years, people would come to your village with swords and everything and say, are you a Christian? And if you said yes, oh, very good, here you go. You don't have to pay tax, you get all this thing. And are you a Christian? No, all right. And, you know, various levels of, you know, up to just kill you, you know, because it's better for the world if we just kill people who aren't Christians. So there's a sort of a mood, a paradigm that goes with that religion, and I'm not saying that Christians are doing that now, but still there's a mood, that creates a mood where saying, I believe that, it's almost a political statement. It's more like a social statement rather than an internal spiritual statement. Because how much does it take? Like you could say, if somebody came and said now, oh, if you say blue is green, you'll live. And if you say blue is blue, they'll kill you. Well, we'll also, well, all right, blue is green, fine. Like it takes 1 second. So saying I believe, it doesn't mean anything. And therefore we don't find that in the Vedas. We don't find that. And we find in the Vedic text, Krishna is given all different levels. And this is, you know, to your point about we can discuss what is the difference. Krishna says, just think of me purely. If you can't do that, do bhakti yoga. Then you'll develop that desire. If you can't do that, just work for me. If you can't do it. So he's acknowledging, and what to speak of Bhagavad Gita, if we look into Bhagavatam, if we look into Mahabharata, if we look into the Jyotish text, the Ayurvedic text, there's acceptance of all kinds of, in 11th canto, in Uddhava Gita, Krishna talks about all kinds of people, down to people who are not following anything, and discusses how to uplift them. So the Vedas are never about, you believe or not believe, I'll kill you. That's a political statement. That's when you're trying to control people. Are you in my party or not? It's politics. There's some love of God in there, but a lot of politics is in there. So yeah, it's a good point. We can explain the difference. That
True. I mean, with Krishna consciousness, you get a chance to be with God. You get the love of God. And that is what is Vrindavan.
Yeah.
It is not wealth, it is not food, it's not sex, nothing. To some extent, I think even Christianity also similar. Like they don't, Jesus doesn't come and say, you come up and I'll give you a lot of wealth.
So all of this is true. The discussion that we were having isn't about, it's not this point. It's not whether Krishna gives that and whether Krishna is the highest. That's not the discussion that we were having here. The discussion here with Mataji here and that whole thing was about how to present that to people, how to bring people up. And literally the Vedas do that. So much of the Vedas, the flowery words of the Vedas, it's all about going to heaven. You know, how many people, even in India, how many people are doing a religion where they think the ultimate goal of that is that they will get free from all kinds of material acquisitions and all kinds of, they won't come back and they'll actually be on a pure spiritual level with God eternally. What percentage?
Very negligible.
Very negligible.
Very negligible.
Exactly, yeah. So even in India, and not just now, in previous, you can read the scriptures, and this is what Narada Muni was saying to Vyasadeva in the beginning of Bhagavatam. He's saying that, are you satisfied with giving all of these, you know, you can go to heaven and you can do this and you can do that in your scriptures? And he said, no, I'm not. I'm not satisfied. So he said, so you have to talk about pure bhakti, devotional service. That is Bhagavatam. So...
Thank you.
Yeah, it's all there as a, you know, what do you call it? Carrot and stick. There's the carrot and stick. But once we love someone, we don't need carrot and stick. So once we're very fortunate that Lord Caitanya has opened this love of God, and we are trying to, as we've been talking about, trying to get to that stage where we're spontaneously, you know, attracted to serve Krishna. Without any, like you said, you know, you get this or you get that or whatever. All right. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. All glory to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much for coming. Hope you have a great, wonderful rest of the time here. Are you going back today? By this afternoon? Okay, it's very sad to hear. When you talk about leaving the holy Dham, you should cry. This is new Govardhana Prabhupada has created. You feel like Mayapur and Vrindavan combined, right? Exactly. Very nice. Thank you. Yeah, that's